Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode of Walking 90. I'm your host, as always, Elliot Barr, and is joining me is a good man that had to see his goalkeeper jump into the end zone, but not for a touchdown. It's Mr. Kyle Carr. How are you doing, sir?
Honestly, that whole goal was a mess. I'm sure I will talk about it, but it's never fun when I have multiple people saying, Kyle, what happened? Or don't look at this. And I watched that shit live.
I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. It was very unhinged for him to jump. Like he was already beat.
Oh yeah,
and he was already beat. Like the thing was, the ball was already past him, and then he decided, "Let me jump."
Again, we texted about it. I was like, this is one of those where it's like he's doing that to make it seem like he tried, but we all know there was no chance. Like you just did that to try and cover your ass and be like, well, I tried saving it. It was well placed, which I mean, it was a well placed shot.
Oh no, it's a hell of a shot.
But
you're better off just standing still. Like just eat the L.
Oh yeah, like diving, because what if you get hurt? Like you're gonna dislocate your shoulder or break your collarbone or something doing that dive.
The thing that made it so funny is he was full stretched.
Yeah. It wasn't even like a half-ass like go for it. It was like, oh, you really thought you could have gotten it.
Like he was like, oh no, I can do this. Like this, like that is so funny to me, man. I gotta pull this up.
I mean,
like
it's not fully his fault. Like, yes, what are you doing that far off the line? But why is Chalaka making that pass?
I don't know. Like, look at this.
God,
this man is here. This ball is here.
And if you watch the video, it is one of those where it's like he is beat. It is clear as day. That ball is past him.
I'm just like I know someone on Madison had to joke this man. I hope someone put this in the WhatsApp group. It was like, dog, why?
I feel like if there was a film session and be like, what the fuck is this? What are you doing?
No, it's not even on him. That's the part of the film session where we just cracking jokes. Like if someone get nutmeg or crossed up or something.
Yeah, the keeper gets jokes. The defender gets roasted. The defender's getting his ass chewed out because, like, what were you thinking? Like, okay, he made a dumb decision being that far off his line, but he should not have been put in that position if you don't make that pass.
Right. For real. So, yeah, before we move on, let's talk about some of the big storylines that happened. Portland, Texoma get their first ever wins. We're going to talk about points per game table to give you a clear outlook of how everything looks. How does your team project on the course of the season? And then the official Vibes of Chaos pick. For all of that, I just want to say shout out to our listeners. Thank you guys so much. We are getting close to that 175 mark we want to hit. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you share with a friend. Make sure you follow us on Blue Sky, Instagram, and on YouTube at Walking 90 Pod. And make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share with a friend. This is a free show. We do this about once every other week. You also, in between, you get your quick hits episodes. There wasn't one last week. Technical difficulties. But we will be getting back to those. Look out for some interviews on that side as well. So, Kyle, let's go ahead. Let's look into this weekend's results. Kind of get everyone caught up. First things first. Portland and Texoma will get their first ever wins.
Wait. I feel like we need to start with the brunch match shit show.
The game that we were all like, why? And then we got, you're right. So this is a game that happened.
We got to start with that
12 o'clock. We were legit joking this last week about how this is unhinged. Like, why is this game at 12? What comes to find out is at 12 is because someone who used to work at Chattanooga scheduled this game for kids to be there, and then he got fired, but he kept the match at 12. So, and this is also, if you haven't seen Chattanooga's field, it is a mess.
Oh, God.
It
was already poor in that
Saturday. Yeah, Saturday was it was poor. It's poor in the normal state. Then you had Saturday's 0-0 game against Richmond, cut that field to pieces, and it was already waterlogged. And then Wednesday at noon, it was still waterlogged because there's been biblical type rain in Chattanooga.
Basically, just like storm after storm, downpour after downpour. So it was not only torn up, previously waterlogged, but then it got more torn up and waterlogged.
Right. Like So you just had water sitting there on top of already old water. And to be honest with you, I feel like Chattanooga was like, hey, we can more or less just let this sit here and use this to our advantage, which I feel like they did. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I know they would never admit it, but I feel like they did.
Oh yeah.
But
because you watch those passes that they tried making, no one can make a pass on the ground.
Every pass was a punt. Let's start with that.
Yeah.
Every pass was a punt. So it was already bad. But this game was chaotic on so many reasons because you had only getting his first ever goal. He's the first ever signing for FC Naples. Mm-hmm. He chips the goalkeeper, which we've had 4 or 5.
Way too many.
4 or 5 already. Like, this is not... like, one, I need people to understand this is a league of chaos. And 2, this ain't the norm. Like, this is a season's worth. I feel like we're getting this once a week now.
We had 2 within this like match week.
We did. Which is
and
so weird.
If you watch Onan's, you will see the keeper did not try and dive for it.
No, he knew. He knew. That man put an arm on, was like, all right, whatever. Yeah. He was like, it is what it is. But and look, I'll give credit to credit is due to Chattanooga this game. They were able to make this a dogfight with FC Naples. FC Naples, unfortunately, did not respond in the best way, given the fight that happened at the end of the game.
At the end is really the key part of like, no, they Chattanooga wanted to make it a fight.
Yeah.
And Naples was not prepared for that at all.
No, not at all. So, I mean, and get credit where credit is due, Chattanooga was able to capitalize on their chances. FC Naples just wasn't. It felt like a lot of the times, like, once they scored their first goal, FC Naples was kind of just in the mindset of, like, all right, cool, we'll ride this out. Chattanooga's not going to be able to build. And then when Chattanooga scored, it just felt like FC Naples, the field didn't help because the way how they want to play with the ball on the ground, quick transitions, and they weren't able to do that.
Right. And
the chances that Chattanooga was scoring, like the corner that happened, Knapp scored, or the breakaway from the breakaway from Matt Bentley, 2-1 is no real big difference than 3-1 at that point. But it really is that second goal, right, Chattanooga, that kind of shifted the tide because then it was like, anyway, how FC Naples is going to get back in this game is eliminated because they can't get in those transitions and cause panic for Chattanooga's defenders.
The other part of it is Naples had a lot of yellow cards in the first half. I think they had 4 or 5.
Some of them were a little ticky-tacky.
Not all of them were deserved yellows, but it was one of those where it's like they almost had to play not as aggressive because you have 4 or 5 players all on yellows, and with how the ref was doling them out, it's like you don't want to commit a foul that can get you another yellow card and then get you sent off, which it didn't matter at the end because then everyone got sent off.
No, for real, no. So yeah, you did have a fight in this game, I believe. I think we finally got the official report. Dangler, Delgado, who else from Naples?
Onan got a red card.
I think Onan did. I don't know. I want to say Breck Evans, but I think that's incorrect. Knapp got a red card. This is his second red. So far this season. I think the last time I played, I think they got a red the last time they played, which was a 0-0 draw.
Yeah, I think so.
No, that was Jonah Hope. My fault.
Okay.
I got a red.
But I think it was these 2 teams. There was also a red card involved.
Real quick, before we move on to we talk about the next FC Naples game, you think this is a little rivalry brewing here, given the heat trick between them?
I mean,
I'm not trying to force it to them. I'm not trying to make new rivalries. I'm just saying.
No.
You think
the tough part is between how Naples plays, and we'll talk about the Portland one as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's a rivalry brewing. I do wonder what is Naples seems to be struggling both with on the pitch play and also just their responses to adversity. I feel like that's the 2 biggest things. I don't know if I'm not quite ready to say this is a rivalry yet, but if there's another match like this, then yes, I will. Yeah. I will say that. But I feel like Naples also, as we'll talk about with the Portland game, I don't know. They seem to be losing their head a lot more lately.
Yeah. So the next time these 2 teams plays will be June 14th in Naples. So that will be a must-watch game there. Be really excited to see there. So talking about the next FC Naples game, we got 2-1. Portland Hearts of Pine beating FC Naples there. I'm not gonna lie to you, Kyle. I think this game, that credit due, Portland Hearts of Power, 2 amazing goals, 2 beautiful curlers into the post there, two great curlers there. Also, shout out to JT Camarda. We got to sign him.
He's back.
I was like, oh snap! Where have you been, sir?
Yeah,
like we ain't seen JT in a good little minute. Like I
honestly forgot about him for a second. I was like, wait, what?
Well, because he was at North Carolina and then he went to Columbus.
Yeah,
and then we didn't hear anything from him. We didn't hear anything from him. So now that he's back here, it's like, oh, okay. So hey, that's a good pickup from there. I'm not gonna lie to you, Kyle. Outside of the 2 goals that Portland scored, I do have to say I think these red cards. Now, Hinderlong's, it was confirmed that it was a double yellow, so I can understand giving a yellow for that. Me personally, I wouldn't give the yellow there because I think it's a 50-50 ball. I don't think it's malicious. I think a good talking to is enough in that situation because at that point they're down 2-1. You could tell like they're trying to get back in the game. I don't think it's anything malicious there. I don't think like when the ball's coming in, he's purposely jumping to go stud foot at the goalkeeper. It's just a bang play.
Yeah, like I don't think it's one of those where it's kind of like it probably was a yellow.
Yeah,
but because he had a yellow early, it's just one of those was like it's unfortunate. It's just bad timing. Like maybe if there was VAR, they would look at it and be like, okay, maybe like repeal a card. Like maybe there would have been more of a review on it. But
now the red card that was really confusing was Soriano's red card because looking at the replay, I do not see where the refs are red. Apparently, I think we were talking to the other FC Naples podcast. Matter of fact, shout out to them. Make sure you follow them, FC Naples. That's a good podcast out there. Apparently, what happened was as the goalkeeper goes to go stand up, he's disorientated because he got hit in the ribs. But as he's standing up, he steps on the leg of the Portland player.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, I don't think it's a malicious thing. I think it's just there. Now, once again, if you want to give a yellow for that, all right, cool. Stern talking to, yellow, we move on. But to give a red, it's not like it's denial of a goal scoring opportunity. It's not like he forcibly going out his way to punch a player like on a corner.
Right.
It's not like I don't know if you see like a stomp, like he's looking at the guy and then stomps down and twist or anything like that. I don't know. I do think these red cards kind of affected the game early on. And it definitely tilted things in Portland's favor for this. But hey, once again, shout out to Portland. They got their first ever win at home.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those where it's like you watch it and you're kind of just like, I understand maybe from the ref's perspective, kind of seeing, okay, you're on the ground and you're extending. So I'm trying to understand it, but it felt harsh. It felt over the top. Like, I don't think there's nothing, like you said, there's nothing malicious on it. So I don't understand like why, when you look at the replay, but at the same time, if you're watching in real time, then maybe, but yeah, I mean, that red card definitely threw things off. And then Portland had, a great goal to start things off. And it kind of felt like they were just good. And again, they had a lot of possession, like a lot of possession, a lot of passes because one, Naples is down to 10, so harder to keep possession, but that's also how Naples plays. And it's just like that continuing effort. And then you think after they equalize, okay, they can walk away with the draw. Like that would be enough. But
2-1 at that point, then you lose your top goal scorer. It makes it very tough at that point to become
down to 9. So yeah.
So if you haven't been keeping up with the Chaos BCS ranking, FC Naples was at 3rd. These 2 games alone dropped them to 11th. So that's tell you how chaotic the last
they
2
compiled what, like minus 33 in these 2 matches, like total. I think
so like it's very close to it.
Yeah,
like it's very close to how chaotic it's been for them. So we move on from that game. We go ahead to Texoma, which I still don't believe is a real place, but
real enough.
It's real enough. They got their first ever win in team history. They beat Union Omaha. So unlike Portland, who has won the games in the via the US Open Cup, Texoma hasn't. This is their first official true win.
First professional this game mattered wins. I don't even know if they had preseason matches.
You can tell by the celebrations. By the way, the second goal that Texoma scored, banger. Left Onana hanging. Left him hanging. And then, but you saw, the thing that I loved about it the most is you saw the coach just like arms like this running. Like, he was like, yes.
Yeah. I mean, hell, I would celebrate like that too. If you're up 2-0, you're like, okay, this is great. Like,
right.
And I mean, even the first goal wasn't bad. Like, it was well set up. It was a well put together.
There's no way Samuel Sante should be that open in the box.
No. I mean, that
no
too.
way. No way.
But it was still like, Texoma does a good job because I think they like won the ball back like in Omaha's half.
Yeah.
And then we're able to just like work it well with possession and then just made their like, it was kind of like, all right, we're going to reset, go in and just get a pass. We're just going to make a long ball. And I mean, I think didn't the Omaha defender try and like slide to block the like
I think so,
back?
Yeah.
Which left Asante open. But it was just one of those where it's like, okay, Texoma. I see what you're trying to do here.
Hey, it was a good win for him. I think ever since he switched to this back five, it's been a lot better for him. Like, they're not trying to be as expansive as they were in the ball and play this stupidly high line. I think now they get an understanding of what the league is and what the capabilities of their team is. Like, you can look, Chattanooga's proof of concept. You can bunker in, you can play defensively tight, play defensively sound, and still come out with wins if you are physical and executed your opportunity. And that's what Texoma did in his opportunity. And on the flip side of this, and we'll talk about this later, Union Omaha, struggling. Like, I know people are talking about the striker options, but for me, I think the two main concerning things was the ineffectiveness on the ball in the final third. Like, they had struggles getting the ball into the final third. I know people want to talk about the striker. Yeah, that's a part of it, but I think when you have ineffective service into the circus spot, it hinders everything you want to do. And then the other thing of that is the midfield right now just seems so lost in what they want to do.
I think that's the bigger issue. There is no, because if you think about like all these other Omaha teams in the past, they always have that one midfielder that
just dynamic,
who just can take the game and dictate everything, and they don't have that midfielder anymore. And yes, the striking options are still not great, but it's almost like. And I realized this when they played Madison, it was like they couldn't create. They're just unable to create anything.
Yeah.
And like, they took a bunch of shots, but it was like a lot of them were tame, and there weren't that many that were like truly threatening. And it was the same thing as Madison. Like, you would look and it's like, oh, they took all these shots, they had all this possession, like et cetera, but it's like they're not doing anything with it.
Yeah. So also, like, I would say like one of the main creators on that team is Askoff. Askoff plays off on the wing. So they're creating everything out on the wings, and they're trying to stretch wide. It's just the thing is they don't have anyone in the middle who can be that connector side to side or north and south. And that's really hindering Union Omaha and what they want to do. Now, on the backside of this, they have played, how Union Omaha schedule is. They play a lot of games on the road, and then they kind of ease their ways into the home schedule. So can we see things change? Yes.
But even when they played at home against Portland, they didn't look that good.
Yeah, true.
But I will say with Texoma, like, since that ass beating earlier, like when they made that switch to the back, I think that first week was against Madison. In the last 4 league games, I think they've allowed 4 or 5 goals, and 4 of them were against Charlotte. So like they had the 0-0 against AV Alta. Fucking Christ, they only allowed 1 against Omaha tonight. They had the 1 against Madison. Like you said, defensively they are doing a better job at not allowing goals. And now we're seeing okay, they can hold on to a lead, because that was also the other part of things. It was like they blew that lead against Charlotte. They had the lead against Madison and they allowed a goal late. Like, now they're able to put together longer stretches of defense where they can walk away with 3 points instead of feeling like it was 2 points dropped.
Yeah. So that's key there as well. So, hey, once again, shout out to Texoma. Got your first ever win on that front. So now we move ahead real quick. We'll talk about these games because I think we're going to talk about these games a little bit more in person. But Greenville draws 2-2 with AV Alta. 2 headers there by Castro. But unfortunately, very bad defensive mistake took away a win from Greenville, who desperately needs a win right now at this point.
And don't forget, they also had the missed penalty. Greenville did.
Yes, yeah, they did, which is not good on their part. But this is the first game AV Alta did not average 62% possession, which is absurd. Absurdly stupid. Like, I put the message in our chat because, you know, the league literally put these stats out there. So this is AV Alta's 62.9 possession, highest in league history. Also, shout out to AV Alta FC Enthusiasts on Instagram. Make sure to follow him if you want to keep in touch with AV Alta. Also, Tumbleweed or Tumbletweed, one of the two.
Yeah.
But they average 492 passes per game, 5.6 yards per pass, lowest in the league, 82% passing accuracy, highest in the league, 51.8 of passes in the opponent's half. In this game, they had 36 passes, 154 in the opponent's half, and let's see, they have 51% possession. Kyle, the floor is yours, my friend.
It's just frustrating. At least in this game, they were scoring on these, like, all this possession and all this. At least they're getting goals, because that Texoma game was the peak of what the actual fuck are you all doing? And I cannot deal with it. I almost had my quick hits be just a whole rant on AV Alta, and then I just was like, no, I'm not getting myself re-bad. At this point, they are what they are. I'm glad they figured out, yes, you can have all these passes and put the ball in the back of the net. Yeah. You got to work on things defensively.
Look, the first goal that AV Alta scored, I think this year, that might be the best scored goal.
Didn't they have one from, like, God knows how far?
No, I know everyone's going to fall in love with the chip, right?
Yeah.
I think this goal by AV Alta, just the skill on it.
Well, I mean, it was a hell of a turn.
It was great.
Yeah.
I think, to me, that is the better goal. Because just to go to the defender and then turn as that ball is coming to you and then place it to the low left corner and just outstretch the goalkeeper's hand, I think is beautiful.
And I was going to say, even like the second goal that AV Alta had was pretty good. It was like one of those where, okay, they got the ball and it was just like a quick counter.
Yeah.
And it was one of those where it's like, yes, sometimes just being more direct is perfectly fine. And part of it was assistance of Greenville, just bad defensive decisions. But it is still one of those where it's like, you don't need to like do all these short passes. Like and it's the same thing with Madison. It was like, you can just go direct at them and you can create stuff, show some urgency. I think that's been the biggest thing, is like the lack of urgency at times it seems that AV Alta plays with.
That was a real trend across the league for a lot of teams. Richmond and Omaha just feel that lack of urgency. So we move on from that result. We'll talk about the other. We kind of already talked about the other 0-0, but just want to mention that Westchester won, Fort Madison won, got a pin there from Gebhardt, whatnot. Friday's game on May 16th, you saw Charlotte Independence go 3-1, beating One Knox. I'm not gonna lie, I was hyping on One Knox. They were one of the teams I was like, hey, it felt like a lot of these games were proving games. Some teams proved it, other teams didn't. Charlotte definitely proved it. Proof of concept. I just want to say, and this is just me, but Alvarez is good. That boy good. That boy good.
Yeah. That was one of those where it's like, you again, why defend when you got him and Cheney just doing everything they want up top?
Yeah. Like,
but I feel like, it is interesting because like Charlotte is quietly putting together a pretty damn good season.
They are. And the thing about it is, me personally, I wonder how Charlotte fans feel about it. So Charlotte fans, if you're listening to this, let us know. How do you like playing at the sports complex? One, I like it. I think it's a better and tighter environment for it. But I do know the sports complex is outside the city of Charlotte, but it just looks better. Me personally, I like it.
I think it's, if they can just properly get the attendance up, it could be a really good match day experience, like with how it's set up, with all the pitches. Like it could really thrive if they can get the turnout to really
Question for
make it.
you. Let me ask you this. What is the ideal attendance for Charlotte? Because in this game, they average 565. Me personally, I would say if they can get in that tormentor range of 1,000 to maybe
I was going to say
1,300.
2,000.
She said 2?
I would say like 1,500 to 2,000.
Okay. I would say I'll be generous. I'll say at least 1,200. I think 1,200 would be perfect for them.
Yeah. I think it's just like for how big that stadium is. And this is also like, yeah, I understand there's a whole MLS team, but it's still like an established team that plays very fun to watch. Like they are entertaining to watch. Like you're not going to sit here and just be dull. Like they might allow 3 goals, but they'll score 4.
I mean, hey, right now you can say at each position, you can say they have an all-league type of player there. Goalkeeper. Levy's probably top 5. You look at the back 4, I would say either Spellman or Dimmick is the top defensive player.
Spielman definitely.
Yeah, top defensive player in this league. You look at midfield. I mean, Midis, Sess,
and C's, yeah.
Yeah. And then you look at the forward line, Cheney and Alvarez. Like that is a well-balanced team.
The only concern with Charlotte is just the depth. Like, that's just one of those concerns where it's like, okay, as the season goes on and matches pick up, will that depth be a concern? Because if they were to lose Spielman, that defense looks a lot more shaky.
Yeah.
If they lose, like Cease, there's not really a midfielder that's going to be like shielding the back 4. I mean, like obviously, if they don't have Alvarez, and then teams can focus solely on Cheney or vice versa. So there is concerns about the depth, but I think like a healthy Charlotte is pretty damn good, and like I think I feel like we both are sleeping on them, but also we're kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop with them. Because I feel like we've seen this constantly where Charlotte starts off really well and then tail off at the end of the season.
Yeah. I think they have their cooling off period, but I think and this is something me and Matt talked about on River City 93 about Richmond has played the most games, but they haven't created enough buffer for when that cool off period hits.
Yeah.
You built enough of a buffer so where that drop from 3rd place to 5th doesn't hurt you. Where Charlotte right now, they're gaining no points. They're eating those points now. So when that cool-off period does come for, say, 2-3 games, it doesn't hurt them on the tail end, and they're able to ride it out and then get back in the mode and then climb back up the table.
Yeah, and then you have other teams where you're kind of like a Greenville, where it's like you're playing more matches than all these teams below you, and it's like AVL's is only a point behind, and they have a game in hand.
Yeah.
Madison's only a point behind with a game in hand. Tormenta's 2 points behind. Like Omaha, even though their struggles, are only 4 points behind.
Yeah, for real. So I mean, you have that, and then you look at how One Knock's been since the rest of the since the big upset win against FC Tulsa, 0-0. I mean, a series of draws against Portland and for Madison, and then this loss against Charlotte. And I think the prevailing over these 3 games for One Knocks is the amount of defensive errors that have led to goals.
Yeah.
Portland, there was a defensive error that should have been a clean sheet. For Madison, I believe there was another defensive error.
That one was kind of like they didn't clear it, and then it was a hell of a shot, and it was a hell of a shot by Kroll, and then also the keeper and defender kind of collided as the shot was going, so it's kind of like, but they should have dealt with the initial problem in the first place.
Yeah, and then in the Charlotte game, he had another defensive mistake. So I want to say I still think One Knocks is one of the top teams in this league, one of the top 4 teams in this league. I am a little bit concerned about the defensive error and something that we talked about last week about just are these the points where One Knocks is the difference in One Knocks being a top 2 team or being a 4th, 5th, 6th place team?
Yeah, I would say with Knoxville, I feel like it's one of those. They'll likely they'll have a home playoff game. Yeah. But I think we're starting to see those issues in the past where it's like, okay, the goals are drying up. It's not happening. Like offensively, it looked like, they figured out the attacking side. And it seems like that's slowed down. They're still going to be really, really good defensively. Yeah. So I think they'll still be a top 4. Like right now, I'd say confidently they're a top 4 team, but I think they're trailing the Naples, Charlotte, Spokane level of like top tier.
Yeah. So it's interesting. It's very interesting out there. And then the last game we need to talk about, my Richmond Kickers lost 1-0 to Spokane Velocity, a game in which Richmond went up 1-0 after 13 minutes after Emmy pulled off his Grammy award-winning Philip record. But yeah, able to lose a game here, being on 1-0. I think my biggest takeaway from this game is that Richmond struggles when they have dominant possession of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They're great at being very direct, being able to get it behind. They really rely on that space to get in behind teams. And Spokane, credit to them. 6 wins in a row after the shaky start that they had to the season. I think you've really seen this team settle in. I was joking with Benji of the Spokane Velocity Show. Make sure you go check them out. He does a great job up there. Just calling them Real Spokane. Like, that's their new name. They play in white. They're Real Spokane. Like, this team has Vilnius, Jalen Crisler, team, players that teams in this league can definitely use, and they're just on the bench, chilling.
Yeah. Like, it's like Crisler's not even he wasn't even in the squad.
Crisler hasn't played a game since the U.S. Open Cup game against Ballard.
And it's like, oh, okay, cool. That's fine.
Like, bro, what?
You can like bring Akali and Vinyals off the bench. Like, sure.
This is the thing. This is who they have in their bench that they can. Barker Hernandez, Neil Vinyals, Marcelo Log, Colin Fernandez, Nick Britt. Like, it's an embarrassment of riches, dog. It's an embarrassment of riches. And I'm not even trying to be salty or like mean or anything or crazy or anything like that. It's just like, all right, Spokane is showing like, hey, we got this money. We're going to show y'all what this is.
Right. It's like, oh, this is the Spokane everyone was talking about at the beginning of the season.
Right.
Like, this is what everyone expected out of them. And I'm now looking back and I was like, I don't know. I think Spokane might be a little overrated. And I'm like, ooh, not looking good for me so far.
You remember what I said? Spokane is bullshitting right now. And you really need to turn it up because if not, it's going to get ugly. And everyone was like, no, we ain't do this. We ain't do it. I was like, y'all have spent this money. This team should be a lot better, and they are proving it right now. 6 wins in a row, one of the most potent attacks. Like, Louis Gill is definitely in the running for MVP at this point. The way how he is dictating and controlling this team. I hope I'm probably going to pronounce his name, forgive me. But Palales?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, though.
Yeah. One of the leading scorers right now, I think, with 6 goals right now. So, like,
yeah, he has the most goals and assists, I think.
Yeah.
Like 8.
So, like, and Benicio, the goalkeeper, is doing an amazing job. Very quiet at his job, but he does a good job out there. On the flip side of that, Richmond, I think they're kind of running out of steam. There's a definite difference in this team when they have to rotate in some of those key pieces, like a Chandler Dwyer or Adrian Bill Hart, or a Clyde Chow or Griffin Garnett aren't in the lineup. There is a clear difference, and this team kind of stagnates on the ball. When this team is healthy, full strength, they can go.
Yeah.
But it's the lack of backup talent and the defensive errors. Like, once again, like, this is a game that Richmond, they don't deserve to win this game, but at least it should have been a draw. You had another defensive error that led to a goal.
Yeah. And I think the other part with Richmond is, you mentioned it with like not having, like when they have too much possession. And I think that's where with like Richmond, I think especially with Kirkland and Espinal, it's like getting them in open space, getting them the ball, and they can do something with it. Like I feel like they're more of the get them the ball in open space, like get them while they're running, get them on the direct, get them on the counter, like get them a running start. Because then once they are at full speed, then they are able to make something happen. Well, in this game, there wasn't really that. It was kind of like, okay, we're going to take our time because we're up a man. We can make it build. We can play through Emmy as well. So I think that was like part of it why Richmond thrives so much in the counter is because they have guys where it's like, get them the ball at full speed and they will do something with it.
Right. But when you slow that up, it's pretty much like when you're going to love this analogy. Take that early 2000 or mid 2000 Phoenix Sun team and then force them to play a half court.
Like force half court, yeah.
They couldn't do it, and that's Richmond. If you ask Richmond to play half court, it's like, oh. And then also the amount of loose touches on the ball was annoying and on it. But yeah, with that being said, we'll move on from that game because I don't want to go on a rant. I did that enough last week. But right now is how the table looks. Your top AC started off with number 1 is Spokane Velocity sitting on 20 points. Then you have Charlotte sitting on 17, FC Naples at 14, One Knox at 12, Richmond at 12 as well. Chattanooga Rebels at 10, Greenville at 9, AV Alta at 8. At the bottom of the table, you have Texoma on 5, Union Omaha on 5, Westchester on 6, Portland on 7, also Tormenta FC, who did not play this week, on 7, for Madison on 8 as well. So that's the points. That's how the table looks. But as we know, League One, and one of my biggest gripes is that we don't have a balanced table. Something that I really need the league to work on if we are ever going to do Porel. Because
also, if they're going to continue expanding.
Right. Like, how many teams do we have next year? Like another 4?
Yeah. And like I understand the idea of like a Madison and Omaha, like, yeah, trying to start matches early in the season is hard for them because weather is very unpredictable. So yes, make it a little bit more road heavy. We saw in the past with NOCO where they would not play a home game until July. But it doesn't make sense that you have 14 teams, but it's so imbalanced that you have one
because
team
Portland decided they wanted to start their season 3 weeks after the season started.
But at the same time, it's like you got Richmond already at 10 matches, and then you got Omaha.
FC Naples was supposed to be at 10, but they got postponed because of AV Alta.
Yep.
I mean the weather. So AV Alta's behind on the game as well.
Right. But then you have like Portland and Omaha sitting on 6 matches. Like that doesn't make sense.
No.
There's no
creates a real imbalance. It creates a real imbalance.
And you're looking at adding what? Fort Wayne, Sarasota, Fort Lauderdale,
and New Jersey.
Is that in 2026?
I think so.
Because then there's Corpus Christi, whenever, potentially 2026, and Boise. So you're
and is Eugene USL League One?
I think they just need the ownership money to do it.
Okay.
I think they just need like an owner, whatever. They just need the money. Once they have the money to do it, they'll also be. But I think right now you're looking at 5, maybe 6 teams joining, potentially 7 next year.
So yeah. So if we look at the points per game table, right? We got Spokane sitting on 2.2 points a game, Charlotte sitting on 2.15, One Knox at 1.7, Naples at 1.5, Chattanooga at 1.4, Richmond at 1.2, Portland at 1.16. AV Alta and Madison are tied for 8th at 1.14, Greenville at 1.12, Westchester at 0.85, Union Omaha at 0.83, and then Texoma at 0.63. Pulling up the table there. So, I mean, the points per game right now pretty much mirrors. I think the only real flip is Chattanooga and Richmond. I think, Chattanooga and Richmond flip-flop there based on points per game. But outside of that, everything pretty much lines up with what we see on the table. I did put this out on River City 93 on Blue Sky. So if you're going to go look at it, take these points a game, figure out where your team is going to be. Like Spokane right now is on pace for 66 points. Richmond is on pace for 36. Texoma's on pace for 19.
And Madison, just give them a point every game at this point. So however many games are left, just give Madison the point for that because that's the rate they're going.
Yeah. So you can see that kind of coming into fruition there, how everything is flowing there. But I don't think there's any real big surprises. I mean, this kind of goes into the next one we're talking about. But give me one team you think is going to cool off from this stretch. We'll talk about the top 5. Well, top 4. Spokane at 2.2, Charlotte at 2.15, One Knox at 1.7, Naples at 1.5.
My gut wants to say Charlotte because I feel like, again, we've seen this from Charlotte where they start hot and then they definitely tail off at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, my gut wants to say Charlotte. And also because, like, yes, Charlotte is winning a lot more, but there is still questions on that defense. Like, if you look at the rest of the top 4, like, Spokane's only allowed 6 goals.
Yeah.
Like Naples only allowed 8, Knoxville's only allowed 7, and then you got Charlotte allowing 10. So it is kind of like defensively, can the attack really keep up to make up for a very leaky defense? And that's where I'm like, I think I'm going to lean towards Charlotte just because of that reason.
Yeah.
And also because a lot of the other teams that maybe I would consider is like, well, they're not doing great. And I don't know how much more those teams can really cool off.
Oh, and also we got Tormentors at 1 point a game. I forgot to add them into the list. But yeah, I mean you're right. Like it is, yeah. Kind of concerning there. For me, I would say based on form right now, I don't know if and this is not any way indicative of how Spokane is playing right now. I just wonder if they can keep up with the 2.2 points per game, or would they come back to the mean? Like I think for them, like 1.9, 2.2, or 2.1 might be where they're at. Like they're clearly going to be the number 1 team, right? At the rate they're going.
At the rate they're going, yeah.
I think there will be a drop off at some point. When that drop off will happen, I don't know. When it happens, was there a constant league? Who knows?
Another team I could see, Chattanooga.
Yeah, that's another one. 1.4. Yeah.
Like I'm not saying they're gonna I think it might veer closer like that 1.1, 1.2 kind of range. Just because it is like, yes, they are doing better the last few matches. But I don't know. It's just like, again, how sustainable is that is where I'm a little bit like, I feel like they're also kind of in there. All right, you have a good run of form right now, but is this sustainable? And I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. Is there any team that you think is going to pick up the pace? So we look at teams from 6th to 14th. Once again, I'll put this on the big screen so everyone can see it. Hold on. There you go.
Honestly, it's tough because each team I feel like there's something that's preventing me from saying each team. Because like Greenville, I don't know what their deal is. I feel like maybe we're finally seeing like a very big regression in Greenville. I feel like Ford Madison simply cannot make any adjustment that is needed to perform better. Like against Westchester, they were better, but it was still the same issues that have plagued this team all season. Just not enough in the attack. A lot of just passing sideways, and then the occasional defensive mishap. Omaha, we talked about, again, there's not a lot in the attack, not a lot in the midfield. I'm still not convinced with Portland's attack. I don't know. I'm trying to look, and I'm like, maybe Aviolta?
I think Aviolta is a good shot. I think
I feel like Aviolta, probably is the best of that group that I'm confident in saying okay, yes, there's at least signs that show me they can pick up a couple wins.
Yeah. Portland possibly, but I need to see them. I need to see them go against a full 11, but I also want to see them on the road, see how they do on a road stretch.
Yeah.
Before I'm that confident. Tormento's another team that's kind of sneaky.
Yeah.
Because they're very balancing. I mean, granted, 1.1 points a game is very balanced, but that's another possibility is there for them as well.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. So those are some teams that we see that are rising and sinking. So we'll go ahead. We'll talk about our chaos games of the week that are coming up that going to catch our attention. So for this week's round of fixtures we got coming up starting on Saturday, this is the last group of games before Jägermeister. Actually, One Knocks this week will play a Jägermeister game, which the Jägermeister schedule makes no sense to me because why has Avialta and Louisville already played? I mean, not Louisville, Las Vegas already played 2 games ahead of everyone else, but then One Knocks is playing a week earlier than. They got to fix the schedule. Make it dedicated the same weekend. Everyone plays this weekend.
Right. Kind of that's what they did last year. It was okay, this week is Jaeger Cup week.
Yeah.
Everyone has their Saturday, Sunday game is Jaeger Cup and the occasional Omaha Wednesday. That was all Jaeger Cup. And you knew.
You knew what it was, right? So yeah, Saturday, May 24th, you got Fort Madison versus Portland Hearts of Pine. South Georgia Tormenta will welcome Chattanooga Red Wolves there. Avialta welcomes Charlotte Independence to their stadium. And then on Sunday, May 25th, you got Westchester versus Richmond, Texoma versus Greenville, and FC Naples versus Union Omaha there. And then the league itself will have a little bit of a pause. They'll pick up on June 7th, and then we'll have Jägermeister games coming up, which those games will look like this.
It will be starting Wednesday. Monterey hosts Spokane. Westchester hosts Hartford. Portland hosts Detroit. Charleston hosts Greenville. Charlotte hosts Lexington. Chattanooga hosts Madison. Richmond hosts NCFC. Miami hosts Naples. Tampa hosts Tormenta. Avialta hosts Oakland.
So yeah, so
I'm trying to see if there's anything. No, that's it.
I think that is everything there. So yeah, that's your full slate of games coming over in the next 2 weeks. Kyle, we'll focus on the league first, but then we'll hop over to Jaeger Cup. But any game in the USL League One that stands out to you?
Avialta Charlotte.
That should be a fine. Yeah, I was looking at that one too. Are you putting that at vibes or chaos?
I'm putting that at vibes.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good matchup there. I agree with you on that one. So we won't worry about that one too much. I think the chaotic game for me, based on how these teams have played, I want to say Westchester versus Richmond, but I don't know if he can live up to that again. I'm going to go FC Naples versus Union Omaha.
I was considering that one, but I'm going to go Tormenta Chattanooga.
Oh, you think so?
I don't know. Like, there's something like I don't think it's anything in particular. I just feel like out of all these matchups, it's kind of like, and like Madison, Portland's gonna be like, all right, whatever. Like, we already have Avialta and Charlotte.
I mean, Kyle, you're not wrong.
I did consider Naples, Omaha, but I feel like Tormenta Chattanooga is always one of those where it's just like, there's always something, and especially with Chattanooga, it's like there's always something.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question, and I'm gonna see if you can guess it. When was the last? I mean, you don't have to guess the month and year. You just got to guess the year. When was the last game against Chattanooga and South Georgia Tormenta that did not have a multiple goals scored in it?
Oh, Jesus. Because I'm trying to, okay, let me think. Because Tormenta won the league 2022, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take that one out. I want to say maybe like 20. I'll say 2023.
No. 2021, a 1-0 home win for Tormenta. Liotti, who now plays for Portland Hearts of Pine, scored. In this game, I just lost it. These teams have played 14 times. 15 times, my bad.
Yeah.
In those 15 times, every game has had at least 2 goals scored. There's only been a 1-goal game in this whole game matchup. In the last 5, each side has at least scored 2 goals.
I'm trying to say, didn't they also have like a 4-4, like ridiculous, like
yes. There was a 4-4, a 4-2, a 4-0, a 3-2, and a 2-2.
Yeah, so okay, I'm picking this as chaos. Yeah, I'm sticking with that.
Yeah, it's on brand. It's on brand. Yeah, FC Naples and Omaha for me, the reason why I'm picking that as chaotic just because I think for both of these teams, I think it's a get right game.
Yeah.
It get right. And I think it's 2 opposite ways how to look at get right. Like for FC Naples, it's to clear out the last 2 games. We have multiple red cards. Things, crazy goals go in. For Union Omaha, I think is get right on the sense of they got to start clicking at some point. I know they have their big home stretch coming up soon, but you got to start picking up points soon so you're not relying on having to win out at home on multiple occasions. And I don't even think they really get a good home stretch till like July when they have 4 in a row or like 6 out of 7 in a row at home. So yeah, they need to need to hop on it quick so that way they can, they're not relying on this big home stretch at the end to solidify themselves near the end of the season to, have wins.
Yeah. No, I would say this is a get right game for each because like Naples have lost 3 matches in a row now. Omaha have not won in almost 2 months.
Yeah.
So it is kind of like it's kind of the same as like Madison. It's like, okay, you're going to have to start getting some wins. Like you're getting by just enough because everyone around you is faltering. But at some point, some of these other teams are going to get, 1 or 2 wins in a row. And you're going to have to do the same. So it is going to be a get right, kind of like what you said, for different reasons. For Naples, it is just like get themselves out of this run and have just put that bad week behind them. And for Omaha, it's kind of like you're going to have to start doing it because in an instant you can find yourself really having to play catch up.
Yeah. So we'll move on for that. Move on to the fun part of this. Kyle, I'm going to give you a team, and listeners, you can play along as well. In the comment section down below, I'm going to say a team name. I want you to write your 3-word description for that team. So I got 4 teams, Kyle. Right. You were going to give me your 3-word description of this said team. So starting off first, let me see if I can do this real quick. I should have did this, and I should have prepped it, but I'm not. And whatever. So listeners, you're going to look behind the wheel because I'm going to go. I was about to just choose random teams, and I don't want to accuse of being biased. So as I'm doing this, I am putting this into a random wheel
randomizer.
Yeah. Yep, that I use for my students.
Almost feel like you got to show the screen of like the circle then, just to prove like no.
No. There's no.
I will. In the meantime, I will do my vibes and chaos for the Jaeger Cup.
I forgot. We should do that. So yeah, who you have as vibe and chaos for the Jaeger Cup?
Oddly enough, don't ask me why, but for vibes, I have Miami FC Naples because
Kyle, I love you because I had that same game.
Something tells me about this game. Like, I don't know why. I'm going to put this on, and it's going to be hilarious. So I have that as my vibes, and for my chaos, I feel as though the Charlotte-Lexington can get really stupid.
I did not realize how bad Lexington was.
Yeah.
That's how I looked at the championship table. Yeah. And I was like, oh, they have not learned from USL League One.
They did not. So that's why I'm like, this is going to feel like Lexington matches last year. So I'm going to say that's my chaos.
Yeah. And I mean, like, honestly, I forgot who I was talking to, but I was making this point to someone of like, if your team at this point does not have, by the end of this round, coming up at the end of the month, if your team doesn't already have 6 points, just go ahead and throw the other 2 games. Like, it's not going to matter. It's not.
Yeah. Especially if you're a League One team you want to get championship, it's like, yeah, you're gonna have to somehow pull an upset or something.
Right. And Spokane right now is sitting in second. Sitting second in their group. I think they are the only. Well, Charlotte is sitting second in their group, and FC Naples is in second, and Tormento's in first. So, like, those teams, if you can get a win this week, yeah, definitely. Like, keep going for this tournament. Teams such as like, if Greenville loses, Richmond loses, Westchester, Portland. Madison. Like, if you lose this weekend, Madison. If you lose this weekend, just go ahead and start looking at the other 2 games as rotation. Like, it's okay.
It's almost like the Madison-Chattanooga one is going to be winner stays alive, loser just pack up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same with Avialta. If Avialta loses, then it's absolutely over.
Yeah. Like, Avialta definitely. Like, if they lose...
Wait, Monterey hasn't played a Jaeger Cup match?
No.
What the
This is why this is dumb.
Okay.
It doesn't make any sense. Sure. It doesn't make any sense.
All right, let's go with the wheel. I am ready.
All right, so let's go. First up on the wheel of destiny, we have Knoxville. Give me your 3 words for Knoxville.
Continue. Strong start.
Okay. I like that. It's not a bad one. All right. We'll take them off the board. Let's go with the next one. Greenville. Who's in green?
Get it together. Get it together.
All right, word. That works. All right. Next, we have Spokane.
Yeah, okay, let's do Spokane.
What you got?
Don't change anything.
All right. And lastly, let's see who we got.
Oof, Portland.
Portland.
Find an attack.
Okay. All right. So yeah, once again, listeners, let us know down below. Those 4 teams that we just did. Let us know your 3-word reviews for those 4 teams down below. We want to hear from you. We love engaging with y'all. We want to hear more from y'all. We definitely hearing a lot from the Westchester fans, the Naples fans. Shout out to y'all, the Portland fans as well. Shout out to y'all, those that are interacting with the podcast. We want to keep hearing from you guys. So before we wrap up, I think this week for a lot of teams was kind of like, it wasn't you had a lot of get right games. You had a lot of proving games. Some teams met him, some teams didn't. But there's always next week.
For some teams, yeah, there's always next week. But for other teams, like, you really got to get your shit together.
Yeah. Do you think Texoma's going to push on now that they got to win? Or this was just like, okay, you got your win. Now welcome to the league, son.
Well, the next game's Greenville. So there is a chance they can continue.
If Texoma beats Greenville.
There's going to be a panic button for Greenville.
We might just have to do a quick on Greenville. Like, we might just have to.
I feel like the thing with Texoma is they seem to have defensively figured out something.
Yeah.
So there is more hope for them to get things right because defensively they have at least gotten better. So, yeah. And they get Greenville, which again, the schedule does get easier for them. Like they have Greenville, I think they have Richmond, then they have Tormenta. So, and then Charlotte before their next Jaeger Cup against Phoenix. Oof, that's going to be brutal.
But the thing about it is 3 out of those 4 teams have shown they have at least 1 or 2 attackers that can go crazy.
Yeah.
Charlotte showed them in a 4-3 game. Richmond, we know how Richmond gets. If they are, the key to Richmond is if they're healthy and playing in Richmond on grass, it's a different kind of beast. Tormenta, Mason Turnbridge has shown up, and Leo Castro definitely can go score goals.
Right. So it's like defense. It's just more like if they can continue the showing defensively, they have a chance. But this is kind of like all right, we're going to really know, like, are Texoma to kick on, or is this going to be that was a nice, like, little moment in their first ever win.
Yeah, most definitely there. So with that being said, y'all, make sure you stay tuned to the podcast. If you didn't realize on Spotify, you didn't get an audio file, there was a video recording. We are trying to put videos out on Spotify because we think internally this is a much better show when you get to see our faces, interact with us. So make sure you interact with us. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you keep talking to us. We want to hear from you guys. This is a show for fans, by fans. It's like FUBU, baby. We're like back in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, make sure you always support your local. Go support these teams. Go have fun watching them. Talk about the chaos that is happening in this league. And once again, make sure you like, follow, share, and subscribe. Walkin 90 on all social media platforms. Outside of X, which we are no longer on, get on Blue Sky. X is toxic. Leave it alone. But for my good man Kyle, for myself as well, and for Eb, we will holler at you guys next time. We will definitely be talking about some of the craziness happening across the league. So with that being said, be easy and be safe.